And we're going to speak now to Christopher Howard. He is an actor and dancer who joins me now from New York. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, I just want to ask you what this last year has actually been like for you personally.
Well, I was on a Broadway touring show when the pandemic started, and we actually ended up closing the show in March of 2020. So the company ended up sending us home, delayed the show for a few weeks, kept trying to push back, and ultimately closed the show. So myself and a bunch of my other colleagues, both in Broadway shows in New York and touring companies around the whole country, have lost our jobs and have been unable to work in over a year.
And does this reopening mean that you are then going to be able to start working again? Do you see that on your horizon?
For me particularly, no, because the show I was doing has closed permanently because of the financial impacts of the pandemic. So unfortunately, no, I do not have a job to go back to at this moment. Some of my colleagues do have Broadway productions to go back to in New York, but Broadway theaters are not opening yet. As of today, we know that New York State is allowing 33% capacity in some of their performance venues, but Broadway theaters have not yet begun to open. Some smaller regional theaters, some off-Broadway theaters might start gradually reopening within the coming weeks, but no Broadway productions specifically are scheduled to open until at least October.
Okay, so it's not all the venues taking this opportunity to reopen. Now I want to ask you, New York State currently does have the third highest rate of coronavirus cases in the country per capita. Do you know what safety measures are going to be in place to ensure that your colleagues are able to stay safe while they work?
Well, for any Broadway productions, the actors are covered under the Actors Equity Association, which is the actors union here in the United States. And they're ramping up a lot of protocols for the producers of these shows that they're required to follow in order to employ us for these productions. That includes testing. It includes modifying spaces. It includes modifying staging of productions to encourage social distancing. Our union is also advocating for arts funding, because the more funding the arts can have, the more we can test, we can modify our spaces, and we can make sure that, casts, crews, orchestras, audience members are all safe and healthy. And of course, we're encouraging everyone to get a vaccine as soon as they're eligible.
Absolutely. And for the audience members who are going to these shows, aside from presumably wearing masks, are there any other hygiene measures in place?
They are still encouraging social distancing in the venues. So even though some entertainment venues are at 33% capacity, they will be socially distanced. Audience members will be distanced. Masks, of course, will be required. Again, the sooner people can get vaccinations, the sooner we can get back to work.
Now, I'm sorry to hear that you've lost your job in this pandemic as a result, but trying to look for a silver lining of some sorts. Did you find that your colleagues or that the industry as a whole in any way kind of made some advancements toward making online theater as exciting as the real thing, to make it more accessible to people who might be watching from home?
Yes, absolutely. There have been a lot of opportunities during the pandemic for people to participate on Zoom, on Skype, and do readings of plays, to do concert versions of shows. And we've seen now, too, that some Broadway productions have been recorded and they're being released to platforms like Disney Plus, like Netflix. For example, the Diana Broadway musical that's scheduled to reopen December 1st is coming out on Netflix before it reopens on Broadway. So that will be coming out October 1st on Netflix for people to watch around the country before they can come see it again in the theater. And what's really great about a lot of these live productions, too, these recorded productions that are being put on Zoom, on Skype, even on Netflix, is that a lot of them raise money. They're used as like a charity event to raise money for the Actors Fund, for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, to help people like us who are unemployed.
All right, fantastic. Christopher Howard, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us on DW.
Of course, thank you.